The invasion of Earth began, then humanity wiped it out. At first, they were tiny and far away, like black dots hovering in the blue sky. People stopped and stared. Some pulled out their phones to take pictures. Birds scattered in panic. Eric Nolan, an aerospace engineer, was standing near a coffee shop when he saw the first shadow. He rubbed his eyes and blinked. It couldn't be a plane. There were too many of them, moving strangely, almost floating in the air. He watched as one of the shadows grew bigger and a large, dark object appeared in the sky. It was not like anything Eric had ever seen. Its surface was smooth and reflective, shining in the morning sun, and it seemed to pulse with light from inside. Eric felt a shiver run down his spine. Suddenly, the city's emergency alert system turned on. Loud sirens rang across Chicago, and a calm but urgent voice spoke through loudspeakers. "Attention residents, unidentified objects detected in the sky. Remain calm, follow official instructions." People began to panic anyway. Cars stopped suddenly, horns blared, and some people ran toward the nearest buildings, looking for shelter. Eric realized that this was not just a local problem. Within minutes, more objects appeared in the skies of New York, Los Angeles, Houston, and every major city around the world. The satellites that normally monitored space and weather went offline one by one. Air traffic control was thrown into chaos. News channels were broadcasting grainy images from across the planet, and the same question repeated everywhere. What were these things? In Washington, Eric's phone rang. He answered immediately. It was an official call from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. "Eric, you need to come to headquarters immediately." "This is not a drill." Within minutes, he was in a helicopter flying toward the command center. From the air, he could see the enormous shadows of alien ships stretching across the Earth. Cities were shutting down. Highways were emptying. People ran in every direction. The aliens were moving fast. Inside the command center, Eric joined a group of military officials and scientists. Among them was Captain Luke Harris, a calm but serious man in his mid-40s. He had been in the military for 20 years, but even he looked tense. Large screens in the room showed live feeds from satellites and ground cameras. The alien ships were enormous, covering miles of the Earth's surface. They floated silently, as if gravity did not exist for them. Smaller crafts separated from the larger ships and began descending toward the cities. A military general spoke first. "These objects are not just observing us, they are attacking." The room went quiet. Eric's stomach twisted. He had hoped it might be a reconnaissance mission, something that would study humans but not harm them. Now it was clear. The invasion had begun. Captain Harris pointed to the screens. "Our satellites indicate that the invaders' weapons are unlike anything we've seen. Energy beams, rapid-fire missiles, and shields that can resist nuclear-level explosions. Conventional weapons may not work. We need every engineer, scientist, and military mind we can find." Humanity was unprepared, but maybe it was not powerless. "Sir," he said, "if we study the ships, maybe we can find a weakness." Adam watched in disbelief as the walkers destroyed tanks and armored vehicles effortlessly. Every attempt to attack them failed. The machines seemed almost alive, anticipating every human move. Adam realized that the aliens had prepared for war in a way humanity could barely imagine. Back in Chicago, Eric joined a small team of engineers and scientists trying to understand the alien technology. They were working in a temporary lab set up in the remains of an airport hangar. The team had only a few hours to examine debris from a crashed alien craft. The metal was strange, almost liquid, and it bent under human tools but always returned to its original shape. Wires and circuits pulsed with energy that no one could measure. Claire Donovan, a young scientist with sharp eyes and quick hands, noticed something unusual. "Look at this," she said, pointing at a panel in the ship. "These energy flows are not constant. They fluctuate in ways we might be able to exploit." Eric leaned closer, examining the complex patterns. He nodded. "If we can understand the pattern, maybe we can disrupt it." Humanity had never faced anything like this before. Panic spread, but so did determination. People were starting to realize that surrender was not an option. In orbit, Captain Harris watched the alien ships move over the Earth. His fleet of human spacecraft was small and poorly equipped compared to the alien vessels, but he refused to give up. "We may be outgunned," he said, speaking to his officers, "but we are not outsmarted. Humanity has survived worse. We will find a way." If humans could hit those points, even the most advanced weapon could penetrate. It was a small hope, but it was enough to keep them going. Meanwhile, Adam Brooks and his soldiers were ordered to retreat. The walkers were too strong for a direct fight, and human lives could not be wasted in hopeless attacks. But Adam refused to give up. He began thinking of ways to use the terrain to his advantage. The desert could hide ambushes. The mountains could trap the machines. Humanity would fight back, even if the cost was high. Night fell on the first day of the invasion. The sky was filled with alien ships and cities burned in the distance. But in the hangar, Eric and Claire continued to work. They tested small devices, trying to find a way to disrupt the alien energy. Every failure brought frustration, but every small success brought hope. Humanity had been pushed to the edge, but the spark of resistance was alive. On the other side of the world, ordinary people were also beginning to fight back. Civilians armed with whatever they could find, trucks, tools, homemade explosives, tried to slow the alien advance. In small towns and villages, people organized in secret, learning from every encounter with the invaders. Humanity's spirit, once underestimated, was showing itself. By the end of the first night, the situation was still grim. Cities were in ruins, and millions had fled. But among the chaos, a few glimmers of hope appeared. Eric and Claire had mapped a vulnerability in the alien shields. Captain Harris had begun reorganizing his fleet into small, flexible groups that could strike unpredictably. Adam Brooks had set traps that would slow the alien walkers. Humanity was learning, adapting, and surviving. As dawn broke on the second day, the alien ships hovered silently over the Earth. The world had changed in a single day. People who had once lived ordinary lives now faced a battle for survival. But the determination of humanity was strong. Across the globe, people began to prepare, not for surrender, but for the fight of their lives. Eric looked at Claire and said, "They think they've won, but they don't know us." Cities were empty, smoke rose from burning buildings, and emergency sirens rang constantly. People who had survived the first day of the invasion were scared, but many were also determined. They had seen what the aliens could do, and they knew that running would not save them. Humanity had to fight back. In Nevada, Lieutenant Adam Brooks moved his soldiers through the desert. They were small in number, but he refused to give up. The walkers that had destroyed their tanks were still out there, but Adam had studied their movements. He realized that the machines could not move easily in rough terrain, and he planned to use the mountains and valleys to slow them down. The soldiers dug in along ridges and cliffs, preparing traps with explosives and heavy rocks. Adam knew that even if they could not destroy the walkers completely, they could at least stop them from moving freely. Back in Chicago, Eric Nolan and Claire Donovan were still working in the makeshift lab. The alien debris they had collected was slowly revealing secrets. Claire had discovered that the aliens' energy shields had weak points. The energy fluctuated in certain patterns, and if humans could hit these points, they could break through. Eric was excited. "This could change everything," he said. "If we can build weapons that target these weak points, we might stand a chance." Humanity had no choice but to fight while also learning. Military forces around the world tried to organize, but communication was difficult. Satellites had been destroyed, and the aliens jammed most radios. Small groups of humans were forced to act independently, thinking fast and working together to survive. In Washington, Captain Luke Harris held a meeting with military leaders. "We need to stop thinking about large battles," he said. "We cannot beat them with force alone. We need to be smarter, faster, and unpredictable." He proposed splitting the fleet into smaller strike groups that could attack alien ships where they were weakest. Some officers were skeptical. They had been trained for large, organized warfare, not guerrilla tactics in space. But Harris was firm. "We have no choice," he said. "If we stay in one place, we die. They don't expect humans to fight like we do. They think we will run. We won't. We will make them pay for every step they take." The soldiers nodded, a mix of fear and determination in their eyes. The first battle began at dawn. The walkers approached the traps Adam and his soldiers had set. When the machines stepped on explosives hidden in the desert sand, they stumbled. Rocks and boulders fell from cliffs, hitting their armor. Some of the walkers were slowed, and human soldiers fired from hidden positions, aiming at the joints and control panels that were exposed. It was not easy, and many soldiers were lost, but for the first time they saw that the aliens could be hurt. In Chicago, Eric and Claire continued their work. They built small devices that could create short bursts of electromagnetic interference. Tests on alien debris showed that the devices could disrupt the energy shields for a few seconds. It was not enough to destroy the ships, but it was a start. Eric realized that humans could fight back if they worked together and used their brains instead of relying only on brute force. By the afternoon, reports came from around the world. Small victories were happening. In parts of Europe, civilians had used barricades and improvised explosives to stop alien patrols. In Asia, soldiers had captured alien drones and learned how they moved. Even small victories gave hope to the rest of humanity. People who had been hiding now began to help, bringing food, medicine, and information to soldiers and scientists. Humanity was starting to adapt. Captain Harris directed the fleet in orbit. Using the new information from Eric and Claire, he ordered small groups of ships to attack alien supply lines. The aliens were surprised. They had expected humanity to fight in predictable ways. Now humans were moving fast, striking at weak points and disappearing before the aliens could respond. Harris watched as alien ships were damaged, though none were destroyed completely. It was progress, and he knew it would be enough to build on. In the Nevada desert, Adam's soldiers faced another wave of walkers. The machines were learning, adjusting their movements and becoming more cautious. Adam realized that the fight would not be simple. He gathered his soldiers. "We can't win by fighting the way they expect," he said. "We have to trick them, lead them into traps, and use everything we have. Every mistake they make is our chance." The soldiers prepared, knowing that the next attack could be their last, but also knowing that retreat was not an option. Meanwhile, Eric and Claire tested their devices on captured alien drones. The devices caused the drones to stop and shake violently, sometimes falling apart. Claire smiled. "It works," she said. "We just need to scale it up," Eric nodded. "If we can make these devices larger and faster, we can hit their ships. It won't be easy, but it's possible." They worked late into the night, driven by a sense of urgency and determination. In small towns and cities, ordinary people began to organize resistance groups. Farmers armed themselves with rifles and homemade explosives. Teachers and students gathered information about the aliens. Mechanics and engineers worked to repair vehicles and weapons. Humanity was no longer waiting to be destroyed. They were fighting back. Even children helped, warning neighbors and carrying supplies. Fear was everywhere, but so was courage. Back in orbit, Captain Harris planned a coordinated strike. Using information from Eric and Claire, he identified several alien ships that could be vulnerable. The strike groups moved silently through space, staying out of sight until the right moment. When the attack began, bursts of electromagnetic interference hit the ships, disabling their shields for a few seconds. Human missiles and energy weapons hit the ships' weak points. It was not enough to destroy them completely, but it caused chaos. Alien ships collided, weapons failed, and the aliens were forced to retreat in confusion. On the ground, Adam's soldiers had a similar success. A group of walkers was trapped in a narrow canyon. Explosives, rocks, and coordinated attacks slowed the machines, and soldiers were able to destroy several of them. It was hard work and many lives were lost, but humanity had proven something important. The aliens could be hurt. By the end of the second day, the world was still in crisis. Cities were damaged, millions had fled, and the alien ships still dominated the skies. But for the first time, humanity had victories to celebrate. Small victories, yes, but victories that showed that humans were not weak. People began to feel hope again. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians worked together, sharing knowledge and resources. Humanity was learning, adapting, and surviving. Eric and Claire continued their work, building larger devices and testing new ways to disrupt the alien shields. They worked tirelessly, knowing that every second counted. "We can do this," Eric said. "We just need more time," Claire nodded. "And more people, everyone who can fight, everyone who can help, they all make a difference." They had seen what small, coordinated attacks could do. They were ready for more. In the Nevada desert, Adam Brooks looked at his soldiers. "We've slowed them down," he said. "We've shown them that we fight. We're not done yet." The soldiers cheered quietly, knowing that their lives were still at risk, but proud of what they had achieved. Across the globe, ordinary people prepared for the next wave of attacks. They fortified buildings, shared information, and helped the wounded. Humanity was no longer waiting for destruction. They were ready to strike back. Fear still existed, but it was balanced by courage and determination. People realized that they were not alone. Together, they could face the aliens. Together, they could survive. As night fell on the second day, Eric and Claire tested their devices one last time. The electromagnetic pulses caused a captured alien drone to fall apart completely. Claire smiled. "We're ready," she said. "We just need to use this on a real ship." Eric nodded. "Tomorrow we start." The invasion had begun, but the humans were no longer powerless. The third day of the invasion began with quiet tension. The sky was full of alien ships, but they moved more cautiously now. Humanity had fought back and slowed the aliens' advance, and the invaders seemed to realize that their opponents were not as weak as they had assumed. Across the world, people were preparing for what they knew would be a harder fight. In Chicago, Eric Nolan and Claire Donovan worked tirelessly in their temporary lab. Overnight, they had improved their devices. The new version was larger, more powerful, and capable of producing stronger electromagnetic pulses. They had tested it on captured drones, and the drones had fallen apart completely. Claire wiped sweat from her forehead. "We're ready to try this on a real ship," she said. Eric nodded. "But we have to be careful. One mistake and we could lose everything." Information from Eric and Claire had been sent to every group. Harris studied the alien fleet, noting how their ships moved and communicated. For the first time, humans had a plan that could actually work. On the ground, Lieutenant Adam Brooks was preparing another attack in the Nevada desert. His soldiers had learned from the previous day, and this time they were ready to set traps that would slow the walkers even more. They dug pits, placed explosives, and covered themselves with camouflage. Adam walked among his soldiers, encouraging them. "Today we hit them harder. Today we make them pay for every step. Remember, they are not invincible. We can win." They had not expected humans to be so organized, so quick, or so daring. Back in Chicago, Eric and Claire prepared to transport their new devices to a launch site near a damaged city. Military trucks, armored vehicles, and volunteers formed a convoy. The city around them was in ruins, but hope was strong. People cheered as the convoy passed. For the first time, humans had a tool that could actually threaten the alien fleet. In space, Captain Harris gave the signal. Small strike teams moved silently toward the alien fleet. When they reached the ships, the devices sent powerful electromagnetic pulses. The shields flickered, weapons failed, and human missiles struck the weak points. Alien ships exploded, sending debris into space. Harris allowed himself a brief smile. Humanity had struck its first major blow against the invaders. On the ground, Adam's soldiers ambushed a group of walkers near the mountains. Explosives detonated, rocks crushed metal legs, and the soldiers fired at exposed joints. One walker fell completely, sending dust and debris into the air. Adam's soldiers cheered quietly. They had proven that humans could fight the machines and survive. More importantly, they had learned that strategy, not just weapons, was the key. Eric and Claire joined a team of engineers and pilots to move the devices into orbit. The plan was dangerous. The devices had to reach alien ships at the right moment to cause maximum damage. Claire studied the trajectory on a computer screen. "We have to hit the ships when their shields are at their weakest," she said. Eric nodded. "Timing will be everything. 1 second too late and it fails." In South America, small villages set traps in forests, slowing the alien advance. Humanity was no longer scattered. It was learning, sharing knowledge, and adapting quickly. The aliens had expected humans to be weak, but humans were proving otherwise. Captain Harris coordinated the next major strike. Using information from multiple sources, he identified the largest alien command ship. If it could be destroyed, the alien fleet might lose coordination. Harris gathered a team of pilots, engineers, and soldiers. Eric and Claire's devices were mounted on a human ship. "This is it," Harris said. "We have one chance. If we succeed, we take the fight to them. If we fail—" He did not finish the sentence, but everyone knew what it meant. The human strike fleet approached the command ship. Alien fighters noticed them and attacked, but the humans moved with speed and precision. They dodged energy beams, hit weak points, and coordinated attacks from multiple directions. Claire activated the device. A pulse of energy erupted, and the alien ship's shields flickered. Human missiles and energy weapons struck the exposed armor. Explosions rocked the ship, and the alien fleet faltered. Some smaller ships retreated, and confusion spread through the invaders' ranks. On the ground, Adam Brooks watched from a distance as more alien walkers moved toward the mountains. His soldiers were ready. When the machines entered the traps, explosives detonated, boulders fell, and the walkers were slowed. Soldiers fired on weak points with rifles, machine guns, and homemade weapons. One walker fell, then another, then a third. Humanity was not just surviving, they were winning. Eric and Claire monitored the battle from orbit. The command ship was heavily damaged, but still operational. Eric clenched his fists. "We can finish it," he said. Claire nodded. "We just need to time the next pulse perfectly. One more strike and it falls." Engineers on the ship adjusted the devices, preparing for the final attack. Captain Harris gave the order. The devices activated again. A stronger pulse of electromagnetic energy hit the alien ship. Shields failed, weapons overloaded, and systems went dark. Human pilots struck quickly, hitting every exposed section. The command ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Debris scattered across space, and the alien fleet began to retreat in confusion. On Earth, the news spread quickly. Humanity had struck a major blow. Cities cheered, soldiers celebrated, and civilians felt hope for the first time since the invasion began. Even though the war was far from over, humans knew they had the power to fight back. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. Adam Brooks' soldiers returned from the mountains. They were exhausted but proud. "We did it," Adam said. "We showed them that humans don't give up. They thought they could take us easily, but they were wrong." The soldiers nodded. They had risked their lives, lost friends, but had proven that humanity could fight even the strongest enemies. Eric and Claire continued their work. They studied alien technology, repaired damaged devices, and prepared for future battles. "We've learned a lot," Claire said, "but they will come back. We need to be ready." Eric agreed. "We have the knowledge now. We can build more devices, train more people, and plan better attacks. Humanity will not lose." Soldiers, engineers, scientists, and civilians shared information and resources. Humanity had changed. Fear still existed, but courage and determination were stronger. People were no longer just surviving. They were fighting, learning, and winning. The third day ended with humanity holding its ground. Alien ships were damaged, their walkers slowed, and humans were striking back effectively. Eric and Claire prepared for the next attack. Adam Brooks trained new soldiers, and Captain Harris planned the next moves from orbit. Humanity had proven that even against a powerful enemy, they could adapt and fight back. As night fell, cities glowed with fires, but also with lights of hope. People gathered to share stories of small victories, helping each other rebuild and prepare for the coming days. Humanity had survived the first attacks, fought back, and won important battles. The invasion had begun, but humans were no longer weak. They were learning, growing, and ready to face the next challenge. Eric looked at the stars, thinking of the ships still in orbit. "They think they can scare us," he said to Claire. "They have no idea what humans are capable of." Claire smiled. "We will show them." The aliens were still out there, but humans were no longer afraid. They had learned, they had fought, and they were growing stronger. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were preparing to strike back, harder than ever. The war was far from over, but humanity had turned the tide. For the first time, they knew they could win. The fourth day of the invasion began with a tense silence. The alien ships were still in orbit, scattered but not gone. On the ground, humans prepared for what everyone knew would be the biggest fight yet. Cities were damaged, supplies were low, and millions were exhausted. But humanity had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. Everyone knew that this could be the day that decided the future of the planet. In Chicago, Eric Nolan and Claire Donovan worked with a team of engineers to finalize the largest electromagnetic device humanity had ever built. The device was massive, mounted on a heavily armored human ship. Its energy pulses could temporarily disable even the strongest alien shields. Eric adjusted the final settings, sweat running down his face. "We have one chance to hit the alien command ship directly," he said. "If we miss, everything could be lost." Claire nodded. "We've studied their patterns. We know when their shields will be weakest. We just have to time it perfectly." Communications from Earth were still limited, but humans had learned to coordinate quickly. Harris looked at the alien ships, noting their positions and weak points. "They've taken losses, but they'll fight back hard," he said. "We need precision, speed, and courage. One mistake and it's over." His officers nodded. On the ground in Nevada, Lieutenant Adam Brooks prepared his soldiers for a coordinated strike on the alien walkers still moving inland. The mountains and desert traps had slowed them, but more machines were arriving. Adam spoke to his soldiers. "This is it. We hit them all at once, every trap, every weak point. They think they are unstoppable, but they've never fought humans like this. Remember, we fight together. We do not give up." His soldiers checked their weapons and explosives, ready for the final battle. At dawn, human forces launched their attack. From orbit, Captain Harris's strike teams moved against the alien ships. Eric and Claire's device was activated at the precise moment. A massive pulse of electromagnetic energy erupted, hitting the alien command ship's shields. For the first time, the shields failed completely. Human missiles and energy weapons struck every exposed area. The command ship rocked violently, and sparks flew from its hull. Smaller alien ships around it began to malfunction and drift helplessly. On the ground, Adam's soldiers attacked the walkers with everything they had. Explosives detonated, rocks and boulders crushed the machine's legs, and concentrated fire hit their joints. The walkers stumbled and fell, one after another. Soldiers cheered quietly as machines that had seemed invincible were destroyed. It was a fight for survival, but humanity was finally winning. Eric and Claire monitored the alien command ship from the human ship. The massive explosion rocked the vessel, sending debris into space. Smaller ships tried to defend it, but humans had prepared for this. Strike teams attacked from multiple directions, targeting weak points in armor and engines. Alien ships exploded, and chaos spread through the invaders' ranks. For the first time, humanity was not just defending, they were controlling the battle. On Earth, news of human victories spread quickly. Across cities and towns, people celebrated small but important successes. Civilians helped soldiers by clearing roads, repairing vehicles, and treating the wounded. Farmers and villagers used traps, barricades, and improvised weapons to slow remaining alien forces. Humanity was united. Fear was still present, but hope and determination were stronger. Captain Harris directed the fleet from orbit, carefully coordinating every strike. Human ships moved swiftly, avoiding alien fire and targeting exposed weak points. Each pulse of the electromagnetic devices caused confusion in the alien ranks. Systems overloaded, weapons failed, and ships collided with each other. The aliens were not prepared for humans who could think quickly, adapt, and fight together. On the ground, Adam Brooks led his soldiers into a final ambush. Alien walkers moved toward the mountains, unaware of the traps. Explosives detonated, boulders fell, and fire rained from hidden positions. Machines fell one by one. Soldiers fired relentlessly, and even though some were lost, the battle was a success. Adam stood on a ridge, watching the walkers fall. "We've done it," he said. "We've shown them humans never give up." The command ship was gone, and the fleet was in disarray. Human pilots used clever tactics to destroy the ships one by one. Every ship that fell sent a signal to the others. Humanity was not weak, and surrender was not an option. The aliens had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. Eric and Claire prepared a final strike device, larger and more powerful than any before. Its electromagnetic pulse could disable multiple ships at once. They activated it and aimed at the largest alien ship still operational. The pulse erupted, and the ship's shields failed completely. Human weapons struck with precision, tearing through the armor. The ship exploded in a massive fireball, shaking the remaining alien vessels. Captain Harris gave the final order. Strike teams attacked from all directions, targeting every remaining ship. Humans worked together using strategy, knowledge, and courage. The aliens tried to fight back, but they were disorganized, their systems failing and their morale low. Ships exploded in quick succession, and the alien fleet began to retreat. Humanity had turned the tide completely. On Earth, Adam Brooks and his soldiers watched the sky as alien ships fled. Cheers went up across towns, villages, and cities. People hugged, cried, and celebrated. Humanity had survived. Humanity had won. For the first time since the invasion began, the world felt safe. Eric and Claire returned to Chicago, exhausted but smiling. "We did it," Claire said. Eric nodded. "We showed them what humans can do. They thought we were weak, but we are not." Across the world, people worked to rebuild cities, rescue survivors, and help the wounded. Humanity had suffered great loss, but they had also achieved something incredible. Captain Harris watched the alien ships disappear into space. "They will not return," he said. "Not for a long time." "Humanity has proven its strength." His officers nodded. Humans had learned, adapted, and fought together. The aliens had underestimated them, and they had paid the price. Even in the most damaged cities, people began to organize. Children helped adults, and strangers worked together to rebuild homes. Humanity had discovered that survival was not enough. They could fight back, adapt, and grow stronger. Every person had played a part, from soldiers and pilots to scientists and civilians. Adam Brooks stood on a ridge in the Nevada mountains looking at the sunset. "We fought hard," he said to his soldiers. "We lost friends, but we never gave up. That is what makes us human." His soldiers nodded, feeling pride and relief. The walkers were gone, and the desert was quiet once more. Eric and Claire visited the damaged lab in Chicago. Engineers and volunteers were repairing it and preparing for the future. "We've learned a lot," Eric said. "We know now that humans can adapt to anything. If they come back, we'll be ready," Claire smiled. "And next time, we'll be stronger." Fires burned in the streets, not as a sign of destruction, but as a symbol of victory. Humanity had faced an enemy that seemed unstoppable and had won. Cities, towns, and villages worked together. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians were united in rebuilding and protecting their world. Captain Harris sent a message to Earth. The alien fleet has retreated. Humanity has survived. Humanity has fought back and humanity has won. We must remain vigilant, but today we celebrate. Today we are victorious. The message was broadcast to every city, every town, and every village. People cheered and embraced. Humanity had faced extinction and had survived. On the streets, children played among the ruins, laughing and running. Adults helped rebuild homes and shelters. Farmers planted crops and engineers repaired roads and bridges. Humanity was alive, united, and stronger than ever. The alien invasion had tested them, but it had also shown their courage, intelligence, and determination. Eric and Claire looked up at the night sky. The stars were calm and peaceful again. "We did it," Eric said softly. "We saved our planet," Claire nodded. "We showed the universe that humans are not weak. We fight, we adapt, and we survive. Humanity is powerful." His soldiers nodded, proud to be part of the fight that had saved their world. Across the globe, humanity celebrated its victory. The alien ships had been destroyed or driven away. Cities, towns, and villages were damaged, but people were alive and they had proven their strength. Humanity had survived an enemy that seemed unstoppable, and they had fought back with courage, intelligence, and unity. The fourth day ended with peace, but a new understanding. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and there would be challenges ahead. But humans had proven something important. They would never give up, they would never surrender, and they would always fight to protect their world. Eric, Claire, Adam, and Captain Harris looked at the night sky, thinking of the battles that had been fought and the lives that had been lost. They knew the fight had changed humanity forever. Humans were no longer weak, no longer unprepared. They were a force that could survive, adapt, and overcome anything. And on that quiet night with stars shining above, humanity slept for the first time in fear but awake in courage. The invasion had been fought, and humanity had won.